Send me a message, like location. I'm gonna come. Wherever you want, doesn't matter. Ireland, New York, Brooklyn, or Moscow, doesn't matter.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 1 of Superhuman Unfiltered. The first guest of the podcast is none other than Mera dost and the host, Mr. Arjun Chipalkatti. Welcome to the show, brother.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me. And you forgot to mention Lord Anderson Silva.
Anderson Baba ki jai ho.
Anderson Baba. But isn't that a sexy poster?
It is a beautiful poster. माहौल इतना अच्छा है, बाहर बारिश है, आपके हाथ में कॉफी है और बाबा एंडरसन सिल्वा. और क्या चाहिए हमें?
लोगों को लगता है कॉफी है.
But thank you so much for taking time off.
Always, brother. Anything for you, anything for the show. It's such a pity that because of clashing conflicts, we couldn't do our official show, The Ultimate Guide to UFC, this weekend for UFC 316. But the podcast has been restarted now.
Absolutely.
We took a 2-year break, I think 3-year break, no?
Yes, Superhuman Unfiltered is back, where we can actually put out our views out there. Guys, please comment. Let us know what you think. Give us your views. Good, bad. Do you agree with us? Don't agree with us? We are open on listening. It's a conversation. Please. And Arjun Chipalkatti, you are unfiltered on this show. Let's go. Unleash yourself.
I can't unleash myself. If I unleash myself, लोग मुझे कचरा फेंकते हैं. You might unleash is naked, right?
That is why we are on the 15th floor. ताकि कोई कचरा ना फेंके हमें.
No man, it's good. I've been working out. I've been training. I've been getting ready for well, the show got cancelled. So what can I do now? No, not cancelled. It's been pushed. We'll be back in August on the air for UFC 319, which is is Drikas versus Khamzat.
Yeah, that's
a
great
damn
card.
good. But you know what? We've talked a lot. We always talk a lot about the UFC.
Yeah.
But we don't talk, and we get a lot of criticism from people saying we don't spend enough time talking about our own guys.
Correct.
I mean, it's been a rough year for Indian fighters internationally.
Yeah, in fact, that was my first point not question, it was my first conversation ki on Instagram and on YouTube and all these mediums where fans and where people can connect with us. They always ask us, "Kya yaar, tum bas UFC ka baat karte ho." There is nothing about Indian MMA.
No,
let us speak about Indian MMA and let us speak very openly.
No, I'm very
where
candid.
are we at?
It's
how can we get there? What are the drawbacks, etc., etc.
So it's like my dad. It's like my dad always says. It's if you love something now, or you care about something enough, you have to say positive and negative.
Correct.
I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat how things are.
Correct.
Kharab hai. It's like I love India. I love my city. I'm a Mumbaikar.
Yeah.
I'm a thorough-blooded Indian.
Correct.
First through and through. But just because I have to say good things, I mean I can't say bad things.
Of course.
The roads are screwed up. Everything is in a sorry state of affairs. Kachara nahi uthate log.
Yeah.
BMC doesn't do a lot of things. I can criticize. The same way I can criticize the fighters.
Correct.
Because I love them. We want them to succeed. It hurts us a lot when we see them fail, because all the machinery, all the marketing that has been put behind these guys. I mean, how many shows we ran for Anshul?
Yeah.
How many? Yeah. And Anshul won the road to UFC. He was the only Indian to win.
Correct.
And we were all jumping up and down, and I remember we were watching it together.
So before we jump to Anshul, there are some questions in front of us.
Sorry. Let's start off with which Indian MMA fighter do you think is going to be the first one to break into the top 10 UFC ranking, where so many people who actually don't even make it past the prelim cards? Firstly, I think this is a very far-fetched question.
Correct.
बहुत दूर की बात है. Firstly, prelim cards पहुंचना ही is becoming difficult.
Right.
I mean, only Pooja Tomar is right now and part of the. I think she's been fighting more often than anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, she's the only Indian technically who's there on the card fighting honestly.
And has won.
Has won. But which Indian do you think? It's a very valid question. कि अगर कोई आपके नजरिया में है,
I mean, I really thought Angad would have done it. Angad Bisht had all the makings of moving forward.
Do you think at some level? I mean, because I'm a part of his entire selection of Road to UFC, and मैं वहाँ पे गया.
Yeah, you're the better person to talk about this actually, because you've been talking to Sean Shelby.
But I like to hear your views as well. I mean, you and obviously everybody sitting out there as well.
I've been a commentator with Indian MMA since the beginning.
Correct.
I worked with Super Fight League. I've worked with MFN. I've done Super Boxing
League.
League.
Fight.
I love that. I love that theme.
Yeah.
But
Really,
but say what you want. MFN has still been the breeding ground for Indian
Absolutely.
fighters. The MFN
Undoubtedly.
contenders, the MFN show itself has been a great breeding ground for
The
fighters.
commentators
in
are
India.
also fabulous there.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Commentator, not all.
Get ready to
I'm
fight.
not giving anybody else. I'm not giving anybody else any PR here.
Yeah.
And okay, coming back seriously, but the kind of talent we are seeing
Yeah.
in coming out of Indian MMA now. I mean, Somesh, compare. Okay, when we saw guys in 2014 like Sham Prasad, Sandeep Yadav, Pawan Man Singh, Babajit Chaudhary,
Abdul Munir.
all these guys coming out at that time versus today you see Changren Koren, Rahul Thapa,
Yeah.
Degambar, all these guys are now a different breed of guys.
They are a different breed, but see, you know what? Where I'm coming from, I personally feel that the global scene is moving so quickly that our Indian fighters are possibly not catching up at that pace. You know, like everybody spoke about Angad Bisht, outclassed in Road to UFC.
See, firstly, I wouldn't say outclassed.
I mean,
Outclassed to nahi ho gaya yaar wo.
but
He lost, but it's not like he was horribly knocked out.
oh yeah, of course,
Or it was not like a one-sided beating. It was a split decision loss.
yeah.
All split decisions can go either way.
But you know, the split decision that won Pooja Tomar the fight as well. You know, a lot of people contest that, but we being from India, we say, you know what, she won. That is our plus point.
See, whether you won, you won.
Yes,
If you won, you won. You lost, you lost. Simple.
correct.
There's
But
no two way
you know,
around
as the
it.
question said, like let's dive back
No,
before we
so-
go into a
no,
different
so-
direction.
So, to answer the question, which fighter will be the first to break into a top 10 UFC ranking? Right now, I don't think anybody.
Right
we
now,
are
I
far
don't think
from
so.
it.
So the question is very valid, but I don't have that person in my mind at least.
No, we are far from it.
Or you know, I don't think that person exists as yet. You know, maybe a 10-year-old who takes another like
Maybe
7-8
whoever
years
is born today or tomorrow or has been, or
yeah,
there are kids who are, but the good thing is that there are kids are starting earlier and earlier in MMA,
Correct.
so that might be. But let's move on. Is MMA a legitimate career path, or are people still relying on day jobs and family money to chase their dreams? Yes, I think
you know,
MMA.
it's a very good question actually.
I think worldwide this question applies not just in India because there are
And there's
guys.
nothing wrong with it.
I mean, Chris Moutinho, you told me earlier, he's a barista
Yeah.
who has a job working in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And then he fights, and he's a badass fighter, by the way.
He actually fought Sugar Sean O'Malley on 3 days' notice.
And
He's back on UFC 316 on 4 days' notice.
I mean, it's crazy how this guy can fight. And I think a lot of fighters, especially in the earlier days, when the pay packets were like really small, like guys fought for especially
$100.
100. I mean, in Brazil, people fought for $100 and $200, man.
Correct.
So
And they were legitimate killers.
guys like Vanderlei Silva fought for that little money.
Correct.
So they definitely had jobs, and it's like guys like BJ Penn, Carlos Condit, who had family money.
Yeah.
They could, they turned out to be super phenoms who didn't need to fight ever. But I think that is more of a question. I think it's not just an India question; it's a worldwide question. That
I personally think there is nothing wrong in doing a day job and fighting. Somehow in this country, they make it to be a very big thing that, I'm also working as a construction worker and I have to fight. Everybody in the world does it. There's
Correct.
absolutely nothing wrong in it. And
Yeah.
I think you should be proud of it that you can do that and still make it to a top level organization. Not just the UFC, it could be PFL. I would say even if it's MFN.
agreed.
Agreed. That itself is a tough task.
Dude, yeah, I mean, it's agreed. I absolutely agree. But the other question we got from somebody else was that in the next few years, especially next 5 years, do you see India playing host to a UFC event?
Yes, I think it's a possibility that it could happen, but again, it depends on the fighters.
If we have somebody here coming through now.
It's Conor McGregor who took the UFC back to Europe.
Bisping was there
It was
for a
his
while.
star power, that took it to Dublin.
And it's also, it's also England was such a prolific market. The UK was such a big market.
Yeah,
Because,
it was.
with Bisping being around, the Ultimate Fighter being around,
Yeah, Dan Hardy was there.
Dan Hardy was fighting at that point. So there were enough people fighting at a high level from this country.
Correct.
And also, they had massive fight fans.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
in India, I think we have some time, though I don't think
No, I
for
think
at least the next
I think
2-3
it is
years.
possible because I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, the UFC is scouting Indonesia in 2026. They had the string of fighters from Indonesia
Correct.
that came into the road to
Jekka.
UFC. and they created a storm out there. So the UFC are seeing that there is potential in Indonesia, and even if there's no
absolutely.
top level fighter, they may not fight in the main event, but they could be in a prelim card. They still would have eyeballs coming in. They still can fill those seats out there. So keeping that in mind, I think India is not far off. And if it is, I think
I think
Delhi or Bangalore could be a very, very good
bomb.
lucrative
I would
location
definitely put in New Delhi. New Delhi is the capital for fighting.
for fighting.
I mean, it has proven time and time again. Boxing, mixed
Absolutely.
martial arts works superbly in New Delhi.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so another fan has sent us a question. If Logan Paul had fought Conor McGregor in India, do you think it would have impacted the MMA scene here, considering the Gen Z's massive following for Logan, or could it have been a game changer? And could it have been a game changer for the popularity of
Well,
mixed martial arts?
absolutely yes.
Of
Absolutely.
course.
If
I mean,
it would have
without
happened, it would
saying-
have been a very big thing.
But sadly, it was just a PR stunt.
It was just a PR stunt. I think the Ambanis wanted some side of.
Can you
eyeballs
imagine?
from
Can you
that
imagine
side on them.
Can you imagine Jake Paul versus Conor McGregor in the ballroom of Namak?
Yeah. It would actually be fabulous. And I do believe at that point of time, Prime was looking to launch in India, that energy drink of theirs.
Prime is launched in India. You
Yeah,
can
but,
get it in Zepto.
At that point of time, like when this announcement was made,
Ah.
I think it was all around Prime and the Ambanis and also I think it was very well played, but I knew it was not going to happen. So
Kya kare
in
yaar,
fact, I had
really?
spoken to Dr. Julian Dalby and
You mean the same Dr. Julian
The
Dalby
same
who
Dr.
mocked us?
Julian.
Oh, is this your real job? Is this your real job?
So no, like we are setting up Bob's app on him. Yeah. So I do
Hey,
believe.
don't talk about Bob Sapp. I'm doing Bob Sapp's workout now.
I thought you were facing Bob's app.
I thought you were facing Butterbean. Uska kya hua?
That
At the
is
next
happening.
battle, guys, ladies and gentlemen, at the next battleground, stay tuned. It's me versus Bob Sapp co-main event.
Main
versus
event,
Somesh main event, and followed up by before a co-main event between Butterbean and Mr. Kamra. Open weight category, no gloves, no geese,
gloves. No gloves, no geese, no ring.
no ring, no ringers, no cameras also.
But yes, let us get back to the thing.
Okay,
That was a very exciting question. Very good question. Would have gotten eyeballs if the Logan Paul.
Oh
and-
man,
and
it would have
McGregor
given.
fight
It
happened.
would have gotten. I mean, when Mr.
But,
Beast came to India, I knew some guys who were covering it.
Yeah.
It was hauratpan.
Yeah.
Like in Marathi, we say hauratpan.
Yeah.
It was like the whole city went crazy. Like
It
they've
was
never
big,
seen
yeah.
Mr. Beast, and I
Yeah.
don't get the friend. I mean, I'm not Gen Z, so I don't
Yeah.
care. But
Yeah.
my point is, it was very popular. From nearly quitting after 2 losses to becoming UFC champion, Merab Dvalishvili's story is inspiring. Do you think Anshul Jubli has what it takes to bounce back from? Okay, so 1 second. So let's just be honest here. I love Anshul Jubli. He's a great guy. He's a good fighter.
Yeah.
But I am sorry, you cannot compare his story to Merab Dvalishvili's. No.
No, I mean completely two sides of the spectrum. Or does he have the motivation? Yes, he has the motivation. Can he do it? Yes, he can do it. The question is, will
No,
he
yaar,
do it?
I see. Why do we sugarcoat things? It's like saying
No, but this is my thought.
but I don't agree with it, yeah.
I mean, absolutely fair
But
enough.
I'm just
fair
saying,
enough,
I'm just saying at the end of the day, you tell me something, okay? You look at the guys from, one thing that we've said this about our cricket team.
Yeah.
I know there's going to be flack for this, but it's true. This is why
No,
the
it's
show is called
unfiltered.
Unfiltered.
It's Superhuman Unfiltered. So we
it's-
have to go completely
I
unfiltered.
only say this because I care. It's because of the fact that I think somewhere it's like even when India faced Australia
Yeah.
and we have lost matches and other teams have run away with it
Yeah.
because of the fact that somewhere now we have lacked that little bit of killer instinct.
Yes. Completely agreed.
It's that
Completely
little
agree.
bit of like, I will die for this instinct.
Yeah. In fact, we spoke about it. Like one of my reels did say that the killer instinct started with Saurav Ganguly out here and Kohli took it here.
Yeah, Kohli is
So-
still there. Kohli has got that will die for this attitude.
Correct.
But I'm saying right now, it's like, if we see our boys, they've got so much talent.
Yeah.
There is no lack of talent or skill.
Yeah.
The problem is that there is.
I just think they're trying to do too much. Like I do understand, McGregor is a benchmark. Everybody wants to make the money, they want to have the suits, they want to do all of that. But I do believe they're just trying to do too much. They should focus on the basics. They should focus on winning first and everything else comes later. Sadly, our Indian fighters right now are focusing on everything, but the winning aspect is still not coming in. Again, I'm going to be facing a lot of flack for this because people will say, "Oh, what do you know about the sport?" Of course,
No, we do know something about the sport.
I have
We've been-
spent enough time, with
We have
the
spent
UFC.
enough time
I've
in the
spent enough
sport,
time
yeah.
with Cain Velasquez and DC, and I've seen how they grind it out. I've seen what they do in the weeks leading up to the fight.
Man, it's I remember when my first brush with guys like with AKA Luke Rockhold.
Yeah.
I met Luke Rockhold. I met Todd Duffy. I met
Todd Duffy was a legend killer.
He was, and Strike Forces Benji Radek.
Yeah.
It's Hallman, former
Dennis
UFC
Hallman,
fighter
wow.
Dennis Hallman,
Yeah.
who submitted Matt Hughes back in the day. And the work ethic these guys put, and they complained constantly saying that we held training from 6 in the morning every day. They were there at 6. You party, you do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But it's saying half the guys didn't show up for training.
Yeah.
And that is the reality. But anyway, to wrap up this segment, I think we've talked a lot. We've talked a lot of smack about our people.
Yeah.
And we will wrap
No,
up this
it's a reality.
segment.
See, you know what? I feel people talk smack is when they care about, the fighters. When they care
Yeah, we're
about
not
the
talking
sport.
shit about them. We're
They
just saying
care about
what
the
we want to say.
ecosystem. And when the school principal points out mistakes, he wants you to improve. So
मेरे school principal ने मारा मेरे को.
I think our Indian fighters should take a little leaf out of their book and also work on the ethics rather than just look at the flamboyance part of it.
Flamboyant enough, and that wraps up our first episode. Tune into much more of the Superhuman Unfiltered podcast. See you next time.